Well, that's a really good question. I mean, I'm really proud of the interviews we did with everybody, like especially the Ben McDonald one. That one really stood out to me. The John Miller one was really cool, even though he's a great storyteller and he loves to talk, so it was hard to keep him on topic. But I'm very proud of those interviews because I felt like it was a lot of stories that no one had ever really heard before. So just being able to get these people who, even though they tell a lot of stories, like getting them to tell this one specific story, that's probably my favorite.
I'm proud of the work I did, certainly, but I'm also proud of my teammates. I'm proud, like I could, none of us could have done it without the support of each other. Just see some of the people I'm working with, I know are gonna go on to do fantastic things. I already see, like, they're doing amazing things at the Diamondback, they're doing amazing things. So like, I'm very proud that I was able to do this, but I'm also very proud that the people in the room, despite also being fellow students, saw that I was contributing and respected me, because I know those people, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but Merrill, I mean, this is Merrill College. I mean, we're not messing around. So I think my proudest accomplishment is getting the respect from my classmates and getting the respect from Mark Hyman and the whole team and everyone, really. I think that just, these people have seen the best of the best and the worst of the worst, right? So they have a lot to compare it to. So when you get their respect, I think I'm just proud of the respect of my teammates and the people I'm working with, because I mean, this project can't be done with one single person. And if one single person in the team couldn't do the project, then we won't have a project. So we all kind of did it together.
I really did love that Morton Max interview. That felt like just super awesome. But I think just getting more research and work on Camden Yards, which is, again, a very great baseball site and historic baseball site. And I think especially comparing it to the NIL project I did with Mark, it's like, NIL was really cool. It's obviously important now, but I even had someone fake a heart attack to not interview with me. That's a story for another day for that class. But with this project, it just feels like something that people are gonna be reading like 10, 20, 30 years from now. They're gonna be like, wow, like these college students all did this research on Camden Yards and like, this is just such a cool project. And I had no idea that this was there before Camden Yards existed, or this was there. And yeah, it was crazy.
That's tough. That's tough because it was a group effort in a number of areas. The obvious answer, once again, would be going to Indianapolis to get Pete Ward's perspective. I think that perspective was incredibly beneficial to the project, because we didn't know, besides Jim Irsay, if there were going to be any other people who could tell us what exactly like the process was there. And obviously throughout the project, we had to deal with not even just on the Colts perspective, but for every perspective on the project. There were a lot of people who worked on this project that are now passed away. So that was something that we all had to deal with. But the fact that we were able to go out there and gain a different perspective and see that, like, the people who were with the Colts then, some of them who are still now with them, there is no bad blood whatsoever. It was a very complicated issue. Obviously, the way that it went about was a little shady, politically, business-wise, stuff like that. But being able to see, there, in my opinion, there was just cause for a change on the Colts' behalf. Once again, the way that they went about it was a little bit meh, this, that, the other. But being able to hear exactly what happened rather than from the perspectives of so many people from Baltimore just like cursing the team, and being able to hear that they really had no bad love. It's just like they needed to change. Memorial Stadium was not going to do it, and they wanted their own space. Like it was getting to the point where it at the time seemed a little bit ridiculous to have separated stadiums for different sports, especially with taxpayer money being involved with that. But I do think that the different leagues starting around that time and in the next decade following that started to realize that, like, having different arenas for different teams, different sports, whatever it might be, was a smart move. So being able to see all of that was definitely, I would say, our biggest contribution for sure.
I I think being a part of the politics team, myself and Ryan Alenardo, was really cool and special, just because it's kind of the things that you may not know as just a sports fan, and you may not know how important politics were to getting Camden Yards created. Obviously, without politics, there is no Camden Yards. So I think that was something I'm most proud of. I think the politics team interviewed more people than any other team last spring. So it was really cool to get the backstory of how it became a reality, as well as, not just the what happened, but maybe the how it happened, as well as learning some colorful stories about interesting and pivotal characters like William Donald Schaefer.
I'm most proud of the interviews because this project is nothing without the perspective of the people who were there, who built it, who were in the Maryland Senate arguing about it, litigating it, all this stuff, all the people who were in the neighborhood that opposed it originally. So just interviewing everyone and getting their perspectives on the project and at the ballpark itself was what I'm most proud of, because their perspectives and their answers will live on in history.
Yeah, I would say the depth of research in my article, I feel like I touched on a lot of bases as far as the history of ballpark architecture, how it's evolved since Camden Yards with the retro classic style and kind of the idiosyncratic style of, designing a ballpark, having it be kind of meshed into the city, I guess. It just like seamlessly fits into the city. Went pretty in depth with that on my in my article. And then I would say getting unique voices. I got an architecture critic and then an architect for the several ballparks. I got an architect for obviously Camden Yards, PNC Park, Petco Park. So getting all their unique perspectives, I think I'm pretty proud of, because those voices obviously are pretty unique to my story.
I just think that the interviews themselves, honestly, like being able to get this done in time before, this is a project from a long time ago. A lot of these people are getting old. We had multiple deaths in the process of actually getting this out, of people that we either interviewed right before they passed or people that passed before we could interview them maybe a year or two prior. But I think that it was just so significant being able to really get these interviews done and put this project that really shaped the baseball landscape and the standard for how to build a stadium, and putting it into a time capsule pretty much, and putting this blueprint and all of these different people who contributed to this great part of baseball, or this great place, and just getting them to have that information now out there online for the rest of time, pretty much, hopefully. But like, as just a very cool way of looking back at something that maybe that stadium will be looked at as almost dated in a while. Maybe it will still be looked at as a standard to hold up to with the building of other stadiums. But having all those interviews that we got done and really getting that information out of them and being able to post that, it's awesome.
Yeah, I just think the story as a whole, I think the story came out great. And I know this was a topic that was previously pretty underreported on. There's not really like holistic stories out there about the history of Baltimore ballparks. I feel like our story covered all our bases really well, no pun intended. But I feel like it was just a great insight into the history of Baltimore baseball and the ballparks, and I'm really excited for it to release.
I'm proud of the ways that I helped contribute to the visual narrative of this project. I think that by selecting images, I contributed to how the audience will understand and maybe even emotionally connect to the history of Camden Yards and all that it means, all that it has meant, and all that it will mean for decades to come. And I think these photos will not just illustrate the story that we're trying to tell, but it will actually tell the story and help audiences understand what Camden Yards means.